For 400,000 years, the Neanderthals owned Europe. They lived through ice ages that would have killed almost anything else. Their range ran from Wales to Siberia and from Portugal down into Israel. They were not a failed experiment. They were a success story, running for 20 times longer than our own civilization has existed. And then, in a window of about 5,000 years, all of them were gone. No bodies piled up, no battlefield, no single moment you can point at. For a long time the answer was that we were simply smarter, and they were not. That answer is dead. The evidence killed it. So what actually happened? The honest answer is that there is no single cause. There is a stack of them. And once you see how the stack works, it stops being a mystery and starts being almost inevitable. Start with the thing that surprises people most. There were never very many of them. Estimates for the entire Neanderthal population across 2 continents at any one time sit somewhere in the tens of thousands. Some models put the breeding population as low as a few thousand individuals. That is the whole species, spread across a landmass that now holds 1 billion people. And they were not one population. They were dozens of small bands, separated by mountains, rivers, and ice. The genetics show what that does to you. One Neanderthal woman sequenced from a Siberian cave had parents who were as closely related as half-siblings. Her family tree showed generations of it. Low numbers, spread thin, marrying within the group. It works, right up until it does not. Because a population that small has no buffer. There is no spare valley of people to move in when one band fails. Now add the climate. We picture the Ice Age as one long cold period. It was not. It was violently unstable. Ice cores from Greenland record events where temperatures jumped by 10 degrees or more in a matter of decades, then crashed back down again, over and over for tens of thousands of years. There were also periods when armadas of icebergs broke off into the North Atlantic and cooled the whole region. And every one of those swings redrew the map of what grew where. This is where it gets specific, and this is where Neanderthals were vulnerable. Their hunting style was built for woodland and broken terrain. Get close, use cover, ambush a large animal at short range with a heavy spear. It is a strategy that needs trees. When the climate swung and the forests thinned into open grassland, the cover disappeared. You cannot ambush a horse across an open plain. Their whole method of getting food depended on a landscape that kept vanishing and coming back. Around 39,000 years ago, there was also an enormous volcanic eruption in southern Italy. It was one of the largest in Europe in the last 100,000 years, and it triggered a volcanic winter. For years, this was presented as the killing blow. More careful dating has since undercut that. In most of Western Europe, the Neanderthals were already going before the ash fell. The eruption did not start the collapse. It landed on a population that was already thin. Which brings us to the thing that arrived at exactly the wrong moment. Around 45,000 years ago, modern humans began appearing in Europe. And it is worth being precise about what that looked like, because the usual picture is wrong. It was not an invasion. There was no wave of armed newcomers sweeping westward. It was a trickle, small groups, arriving, sometimes failing, and then more arriving behind them. The first modern humans in Europe left descendants who did not survive either. What mattered was not that we were stronger. It was that we kept coming. And when we did arrive, we brought something that is easy to miss. Look at where their materials came from. Neanderthal stone tools are usually made from rock collected within about 50 kilometers of where they were used. Modern human sites contain shells, amber, and stone that traveled hundreds of kilometers. That is not a story about better tools. It is a story about better networks. Those distances mean contact, trade, or gifts, or marriage between distant groups. And a network is insurance. If your valley has a bad winter, you have somewhere to go and people who know you. A Neanderthal band having a bad winter had itself and nothing else. There were technological differences too, and they were real, if less dramatic than films suggest. I'd sewing needles, which mean properly fitted clothing rather than wrapped hides. Spear throwers, which let you kill from a distance instead of grappling at arm's length. Bone and antler worked into standardized shapes and lighter projectile points. None of this makes Neanderthals stupid. They had their own complex toolkits for hundreds of thousands of years. It makes them specialists, meeting generalists, during a century when specializing stopped paying. And now the part that does most of the work, which almost nobody finds satisfying. The maths. Imagine two populations sharing a landscape. One of them has a very slightly higher survival rate for children. Not double, a few percent. Run that forward across 1,000 years, and the smaller population does not get conquered. It simply thins out. Modelers have shown you do not need war or famine or a plague to erase the Neanderthals. You only need a small, sustained demographic edge plus enough time. Small populations do not need a catastrophe. They need a run of bad decades. So was there ever violence? Almost certainly, sometimes. A Neanderthal man from Shanidar Cave has a rib injury that some researchers read as a wound from a thrown weapon. A skull from France shows a healed blade wound across the top of the head. He survived it, which tells you somebody looked after him afterwards. But these are a handful of individuals across tens of thousands of years. There are no mass graves, no burned settlements, no layer of violence in the ground. Two groups meeting over 5,000 years would have had conflict. Everyone always does. What there is no evidence for is extermination. And here is the part that changes the shape of the question entirely. They did not only die out. A significant number of them were absorbed. We have the proof in individual skeletons. A man who lived in Romania about 40,000 years ago had a Neanderthal ancestor only 4 to 6 generations back. That is his great-great-great-grandparent, within living memory of his own family. This was not a rare accident at the edges. It was happening while both groups were still here. And when a small population keeps merging into a much larger one, it does not need to be killed. It dissolves. Its genes keep going. Its separate identity does not. That is what the 1 to 2% in your genome actually is. Not a fossil, the surviving fraction of a population that got folded into ours. So put the whole stack together. A species that was never numerous, split into small, isolated bands with almost no genetic diversity. Living through a climate that kept tearing up the landscape their hunting depended on. Met by a population that was better connected, slightly more numerous, and kept arriving no matter how often it failed. And steadily absorbed into that population through interbreeding. No one of those things ends a species. All four together, over 5,000 years, absolutely does. Researchers sometimes call this extinction by 1,000 cuts. The last confident traces of Neanderthals come from around 40,000 years ago in Western Europe. For years there were claims of much later survivors in caves near Gibraltar. Better dating methods have not held those claims up. After that, the tools stop appearing in the layers, and so do the bones. It is worth being clear about what that does and does not mean. There was no last stand. There was almost certainly a last Neanderthal, and nobody knew that was what they were. Just a person in a landscape that had slowly stopped containing anyone else like them. They did not lose because they were slow, or brutish, or incapable. They lost because they were few, and scattered, and unlucky with the weather. And because the neighbors had bigger families and better addressed books. Every large-brained, fire-making, tool-carving thing they did successfully for 400,000 years. We have been doing it for about 300,000, and we are not finished being tested yet. The difference between us and them may turn out to be nothing more than numbers and luck. And the strangest part is that they never entirely ended. Every time someone outside Africa has a child, a small piece of that population gets passed on again. They have been dead for 40,000 years, and they are still being inherited.